Hey guys, I'm getting my notes and stuff pulled up. Y'all, it has been a week. It has been a week indeed. The thing about adulting is it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't ever stop. It doesn't seem like adulting ever stops. Let me fix my camera if you're watching on YouTube. Let me bring y'all in a little closer. The thing about adulting is it never really stops. I'm gonna bring the camera down. Sorry, guys. But I'm excited to be talking to you all today. I'm chilling. I don't know if y'all could tell. It's about 2 or 3 days old, but I got my hair cut. Like more of a mushroom cut. My curls and stuff from the salon actually are kind of like down, and it's Sunday morning when I'm filming this. And I don't want to really put heat or nothing back on my head until the week starts. So I'm just kind of chilling right now. Work is working. Life is lifing, but we're blessed, guys. I got this Stanley Cup. If you're watching and not just listening, I got this Stanley Cup. I don't know if you all have seen Dune, but I am obsessed with Dune. I love all things like dystopian type of worlds, like Divergence and Hunger Games, and Dune just happens to be like very futuristic, dystopian type of vibes. We could have a whole discourse about Dune, but this girl that I went to college with, she used to work with like Warner Brothers and stuff, and every time they would have like movies and anything like that, she would get me like tickets or whatever, or like merch or whatever. I remember when Donkey Kong versus Godzilla came out, and I got this big old PR box with like t-shirts and hats and cups and everything. So she saw that I was pressed about Dune, and they sent over a little like box of merch, and I had like tote bags, and this little cup was in it. Dune Part 2, whatever. So yeah, that has been just my one little thought piece. Haircut, Dune cup. We're shooting the podcast today. I actually need to shoot 2 episodes before next Monday. So yeah, long story short, your girl has been kind of doing a lot. So we're here with today's episode. What's up? Welcome to episode 12 of the podcast. I'm your girl, Deja D. Make sure you're following us at Deja's Daily Dose on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure you're following me, your host, Deja D, on my social medias at Instagram and TikTok. My series as like things to do in spring and summer in Philly is doing pretty good. So make sure you're all checking out that and supporting that over on my page. I have a lot of fun content coming up. I'm actually in the process of like getting my little life together. I'm trying to get on a routine as far as going to sleep early, waking up at a good time, just getting my little life together. So first step was getting my hair cut. And now we're just kind of going from there. So bear with me. Life be life in, and I'm trying to just not beat myself up about the podcast. It's a lot to do all of this by myself, but we're getting it done. We're here, we're living, we're breathing, we're thriving, Black women. Alrighty, but let's hop into today's episode. We already said, our followings and everything like that. So now that we got through that, let me tell you something. Just because you do not see your worth does not mean you are unworthy. Pause it, time out, whatever, rewind. Let me repeat that. Just because you do not see your worth does not mean you're unworthy. So last week I told you all the name of this week's episode was going to be Drew Barrymore. If you're new to the party, if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to anything Deja D, when it comes to Let Me Tell You Something, SZA is highly influential. The theme song of last season's podcast was Wavy, the by SZA. This season is Normal Girl. This episode's title, Drew Barrymore. So I had to do a little digging and like researching before I recorded this podcast and like really start writing about it to make sure that my interpretation of the song was actually what it was. You know what I mean? Like you can feel some type of way, or a song can make you feel some kind of way, but I wanted to see what the actual meaning of the song was that, SZA was trying to convey to us. So yeah. In episode 4 of the podcast, I broke down how and why I chose Normal Girl as the theme song of this podcast. And if you haven't seen that video, make sure you tune into season 2, episode 4. It's titled Normal Girl. Today we're talking about Drew Barrymore. This song was important to be in this season, but not important enough to be in the intro, but I still wanted to talk about it. So when I did deeper research, behind the meaning of the song and the lyrics of the song, Drew Barrymore, we all know she's the actress. And if you don't know, she is an actress. And a lot of her roles, she's playing like more of the outcast in a lot of her movies. So SZA was just alluding to the fact that she feels like she's an outcast in times. She says, I get so lonely, I forget what I'm worth. I guess we get so lonely, we pretend that this works. Then she proceeds to apologize for just so many different things. I'm sorry, I'm not more attractive. I'm sorry, I'm not more ladylike. I'm sorry, I don't shave my legs at night. And she just goes on and on and on. So if you have not heard Drew Barrymore, you should have listened to it before this week's podcast. But I shall digress on that. But definitely make sure you check out Drew Barrymore, that song, and listen to it. So you'll put two and two together. But basically, SZA's just trying to explain how she feels like she's an outcast. She's getting herself to fit in and agree with things in society. And, that society makes seem like it's normal, and other people's normal just doesn't have to be your normal. So where am I going with this? Like, Deja, what are you talking about? Okay, you're an outcast, Drew Barrymore. Like, what's the point? So what I'm about to go into and talk about is kind of personal, but we keep things personal over here. We keep things real. We're talking about things as far as navigating life in our early 20s and with growing up. And this is something that I still work on every day. It's just as far as like being mature and being confident and being comfortable with decisions that you make as you're growing up. And as you're navigating life through your early 20s, it's important that we're having mature conversations when it comes to what's normal and what society is portraying about, sexual experiences that a lot of us encounter in our early 20s and as we navigate life through our early 20s. As a society, we have made it seem like, it's cool to just sleep around with a lot of people. I don't want to cuss and be like, effing people, this, and this, and this. But that's kind of what we made it to be, F this person, move to the next, F this person, move to the next, F this person, move to the next. We hear it in the songs. We hear it in the music. We see it on movies. We see it on TV shows. And it's kind of become just what is appeared to be life in your 20s and navigating your 20s. And that's supposed to be, or that's what's shown as like a part of it, when in reality, that's not everybody's experience. And I think that it's important that we talk about those types of things, especially on, this platform when we're discussing topics as far as navigating life in your 20s. Anyways, we've all heard, the saying like, be young and free and wild, like young, wild, and free. But does sleeping with a whole bunch of people make me young, wild, and free? Or does traveling make me young, wild, and free? Do I have to bust it out, open these legs and stuff for me to be considered, young, hot, and sexy? Or does me going to the gym, working out, consider me to be young, hot, and sexy? Everyone's experiences are completely different. And I don't want for this to come across, and my intentions on this is not to slut shame. I always have to give a disclaimer when I get into these topics, because it can seem, and it does, and it can appear and easily be seen as just like, oh, Deja's judging us, da 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 da. And trust and believe, I'm not in a position to judge anyone. I don't judge anybody. I'm not God. I don't judge people. I just think that it's important that we start to have conversations about stereotypes and normal, things, or just like cultural norms that we're starting to make and pressures that we put on each other when navigating life in our early 20s. So yeah, I'm not judging anybody. We're just having conversations. We're just having conversations. Because as long as you're being smart and safe and responsible for your actions when it comes to, who you are having sex with and who you're sleeping with, do you, boo. I spoke in season 1, episode 5 about being a house hottie. And it basically just talked about, how in our 20s, we're told to like go out, go to the club, have fun, party, drink, do all this, that, and the third. But like, what if you're a homebody? What if you don't enjoy the club? What if you don't enjoy having like those type of experiences? And it's okay to, not want to be in the club in your 20s. I think that, I went to the club last week, but before that, the last time I went to the club was New Year's Eve, and I don't remember being in the club before New Year's Eve, honestly. So, that's just my experience. I'm more of a like homebody. I'd rather go out and like go get some food or like go actually do something than just party and drink it away in the club. And that's just my personal experience now. When it get a little hot outside, I might gotta put the curls in the hair, bust out the heels, and we gonna hit the club. I might be feeling myself, but right now, the vibes is giving homebody. But I talked about that type of like norm, or like people do feel pressure of like, I feel like I need to be out in the club and I feel like I need to be partying. I'm in my 20s. This is what 20s look like. And I'm kind of reiterating that same type of vibe in this episode, as far as like, we have this society is making it seem as like when you're in your 20s, you're young, you shouldn't be tied down to nobody. It's your body, be loose, X, Y, and Z. And if that's what you choose to do, then yes, but we do need to, talk about the fact that that's not what your 20s is really about. That's not like the truth. And I'm just here to like, let you know, like, girl, if you're sitting at home and you feel like you're wasting your 20s because you're not sleeping around with a bunch of people, or that's just not your calling, you're good. You're good. And there's people out there that do feel that way. This episode is to explain that just because your homegirl has a roster of people she's sleeping with and people she's talking to and dating, and I might add dating and talking to, does not mean you're sleeping with the people. But you get what I'm saying, as far as like a bunch of people that they're talking to, a bunch of people that they're dating, a bunch of people that they're sleeping with, does not mean that you need to be participating in the same activities if that's not what you want to do. I don't want people to, the purpose of this episode is to make sure people are not feeling pressured to doing these types of things, because y'all, I tried to be young, hot, wild, and free, or whatever you want to call it. And I realized that it's just not for me. I'm gonna be honest. I like to do. If you're doing it right, it's an activity that you could relieve stress. You could burn some calories. It keeps it real. It's a good time to do. We all know, like, we're grown here. It's fun. Like, it's an experience, and everybody's experiences is different. However, I have had, vulnerable sexual experiences in the past, because I was chasing some sort of feeling, and I wanted to feel some sort of power. I wanted to feel like I was in control of my sexuality. I wanted to feel like I was empowered. I wanted to feel empowered, and it actually was counterproductive. After having like an ex cheat on me and like having a baby, and then the whole situation with my father, like when a male figure in your life who's supposed to be the protector or whatever physically attacks you, it really changes your perspective. And I was looking for love in all the wrong places, and I put myself in situations where I was just ended up like, Deja, this isn't what it's all cut out to be. As I grow older, and as I said, I'm still young, I'm just maturing, and I feel myself maturing. I bought some stuff from Fashion Nova, and this is just a sidebar. I feel myself maturing because I bought some stuff from Fashion Nova the other day, and I actually had to send it back because it's like, I'm buying mini skirts and I try it on and my butt is out, and it's like Deja 2 years ago would have been like, yeah, this is hot, this is sexy, my butt is out, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, now I'm like, girl, where the hell am I going that I want my butt out of my skirt? Like, my whole booty is out. This is jean drawers or whatever. So I just was like, yeah, no, this is not my cup of tea. Give me my money back. Like, I'm mature enough to the point where it's like, I'm not going out in shoes I can't walk in. I'd rather spend my money on a trip then some concert, just, growing up teens. But we're surrounded by, and as we're in our 20s, we're surrounded by hearing these songs like F this dude, get another dude. We're seeing, IG girlies glamorize this culture of just like sleeping around. And that doesn't make me feel young, wild, and free. No, it doesn't. But sleeping with your boo does make you feel a little young, wild, and free. Someone who you trust, someone you care about. That can make magic happen. That's young, wild, and free right there. To kind of like wrap the episode up as a whole, we're in our early 20s. We're in our 20s. We're growing. Whether you're late 20s, middle 20s, whatever, we're navigating life through our early 20s. And you can feel pressure to feel like you need to be dating all these people and talking to all these people, and even pressure specifically when it comes to sexual experiences with other people. And I don't want for me to go this entire season without addressing that topic when it comes to just sexual experiences we have in our 20s. You don't need to be pressured into doing anything. My message here today is also not don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't sleep around. That's bad. Like, no, that's not my message. My message is to do only what you truly want to do, whatever that is. My message is to be safe. My message is to be smart. My message is to be responsible. If you want to, have these type of experiences, if you want to be out here and that is what you feel you want to do, and that's something that you truly want to do, then do it. I have plenty of people I've talked to, friends, whatever the case may be. And that's just what they do. And they are safe and they are smart and they are responsible. And that's what their calling is. But there is people out here, and there are people out here who are like myself, who's just, you feel that pressure, or you hear the music and you're talking to friends and you hear their experiences, and it makes you feel intrigued to try it yourself. And sometimes you do need to just have an experience up for your own to say, okay, yeah, like I tried this, but it isn't my calling, or I tried this and I just don't like it. And that's fine. But I just want for, just to be that reminder, to be that big sister that, like, if you want to do it, do it. But if you don't. You don't got to. You don't have to fit into, like, SZA said in a song as far as Drew Barrymore, feeling like you're an outcast. We're trying to force something. We're trying to force this on ourselves. I was trying to force myself to, want to be out here in these streets, popping it, doing all this. Like, I thought that was lit. And you force yourself into these situations that some people do not get out of, or some people have negative experiences from. Luckily, that wasn't my experience. It was just one of those, like, yeah, nah, like, this isn't for me. But just be smart with it. And my message is, just because you do not see your worth does not mean you're unworthy. And I'm going to repeat myself because somebody really needed to hear this. Just because you do not see your worth does not mean you're unworthy. You don't need to sleep with people to feel powerful. You need therapy because you have daddy issues. You don't need a roster of dudes to talk to. You need a hobby, or you need a job because you got too much free time on your hands. You might not see your worth right now, but that doesn't mean that you're unworthy. That means you need to keep listening to uplifting things to help you navigate life in your early 20s, which is why I'll see you next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you're tuned in at. You see what I did there? But yeah, thanks for tuning into this week's episode. It was super short and cute. I love it. I love you all. Next week's episode is called I Just Need Some Quiet Time. So make sure you're tuned in for that. I'm going to try to get my life together. If y'all can see this little setup I got right now, it's like, girl. But I'm here. I'm recording a podcast. We're doing our thing. Make sure you're following us, Stages Daily Dose, on all social media platforms. Y'all, all I can say is, despite all the chaoticness in my personal life. I am pushing through with this podcast. We're on episode 12. Next week, I'm going to try to have it a little more cuter in here. I'm going to come a little cuter. Sorry, guys. I'm just in my little Dacia's Daily Dose hoodie. But skin's washed. I just put my little press ones on for y'all. And yeah. I will see you all next week's episode. Let's chat about this one, though. Let's chat about this. I'll probably try to do some story, like post and story questions and stuff like that to see how you all are feeling so we can get some engagement going. So make sure you're checking that out. If you're listening to this, I'll probably try to do it like Monday and Tuesday or maybe Tuesday. We'll see. But yeah, I'll check you all next Monday. Like I said, you need to keep listening to uplifting things to help you navigate life in your early 20s. I'm super excited for next week's episode. So definitely make sure you all are tuned in for that. It's called I Just Need Some Quiet Time. So I will check back in with you all. Make sure you're following me. Feel free to DM me at Dacia's Daily Dose. And I will see you all in next week's episode, 6 p.m. Bye, guys.